When we're looking at the ideas of Easter, ramping up into Easter, I love those the songs that we've just sung, and that one about what we sang right before this. It's just got verse after verse of fantastic things to think about, to memorize. I think I'm going to use this worship set this morning for a devotional prayer for the rest of the week, because it's just fabulous. All those things that we just sang, we shared them together, and I like praying the songs, and I like praying the hymnal, and some of the great ways that people have put the thoughts and emotions and feelings into beautiful words. I love that. So we're looking at the ideas of ramping up into Easter with thinking about what Jesus said as he was on the cross. We notice there's 7 different times that Jesus' words are recorded from the cross. So these are the last words of Christ, last words before the cross of Christ. He's still got plenty more to say after the cross. But on the way to the cross and on the cross, he spoke these 7 times. Last time, in the first thing that he said, we were thinking along the lines of what everyone really needs. And that is, of course, forgiveness. Everyone really needs forgiveness. And he said, forgive them, for they know not what they do. They didn't even know that they needed forgiveness. But they did. And that is the great part of that prayer Jesus uttered, is for our ignorance. The things that we don't even know. The things we don't even know that we need as far as the breach that we've created between us and God. We don't even know how deep that runs. And so in our ignorance, Jesus has pleaded for us and prayed for us so that forgiveness would be on the table, that we would have the opportunity to be forgiven of those things. And so that's a great blessing, a great benefit from Jesus' words. And so now we're going to consider, what is something that everyone wants to know? Now this is another of the universal questions. Every single person that has ever lived, that has ever walked, has wondered this question. No matter what civilization they've come from, no matter what tribe they're in, no matter what landmass they've inhabited in the centuries past, all over the planet now, anywhere from textbooks, from wherever, everybody's wondered, what happens when we die? Where do we go after this? After I'm living and breathing now, and I know I'm alive, what happens next? Everybody's always wondered that. Not only has everybody always asked that question, everybody is wishing that their answer is yes, that there is something else. Everybody's hoping that there is something else, and thinking maybe beyond this, there's something else we can look forward to. Everyone has always wondered that. In whatever way they tried to answer it, that's what the universal need is, for everyone to know this. Everybody has wondered this. Well, this is answered in that second thing that Jesus said from the cross. He addresses this very point. So let me read for us in chapter 23, Luke 23, starting in verse 29. Now I'm going to go down to verse 32. No? Got the wrong one still. Did I write 39 up there? I did. It's not that far back. 39, not 29, 39. Oh, that's what it was. 39. Must have had a bifocal moment. Trying to get it exactly right. That's 3. Okay. Well, of course they have the inscription put over him. 38. When they put somebody on the cross, they wanted to be a big show. It had to be well known. The only purpose of executing someone they felt was so that nobody else would do what they did. So if somebody was a thief, they put thief on the top. That's his crime. And so that everybody could walk by and say, oh, that's what happens to thieves? I'm not going to steal this after all. Or murderer. That's what happens to murderers. I'm not going to murder after all. I've changed my mind because I don't want that crucifixion to happen to me. So here is Jesus' crime. It's written up there. Greek, Latin, and Hebrew. Anybody that's passing by can know the Hebrew. That's everybody local. They would understand that. Greek, the whole world spoke Greek. And then, of course, in Roman, because they're the overlords. Latin. So, all three languages, everybody is totally clear on what Jesus did wrong. Here's what Jesus did wrong.
The King of the
King of the Jews. That's what it says. King of the Jews. You know what's ironic about that is it's not illegal to be the King of the Jews. It's not a crime.
That's right.
To be a king. So his crime is posted. It says King of the Jews. People are wondering by thinking, King of the Jews. I guess I better not become King of the Jews because I don't want that to happen. There's no chance that anyone else could become the King of the Jews. I mean, there's no reason to deter me from trying to be King of the Jews. I know I can't. And yet that's the crime that was posted on above his head. And one of the other Gospels actually gives us the fuller picture that the Pharisees griped about this. No. We can't write King of the Jews. You have to write, he said he's the King of the Jews. And Pilate says, order's already gone in. I've already written what I've written. There it is. So, without even knowing it, Pilate is speaking the truth and had the inscription read the truth. And he is the King of the Jews. He is absolutely king. And his kingdom, however, is not of this world. Okay. Although it's not illegal to be the King of the Jews, they had a king, they had an earthly king. The problem was revolting against the government. So they didn't want people to get out of control. They didn't want any riots. They didn't want any insurrections. And nobody was going to cause anything to disturb the peace. Disturbing the peace, we think of that as kind of a minor thing here. Your neighbors are having a party and it's too late at night, and you call the police, and they get in trouble. They get a ticket for disturbing the peace. That's what it says. So it's like a minor thing, right? Well, as far as the Romans are concerned, disturbing the peace was a big deal. They didn't want any crimes. They were proud of this period of peace. It's called the Pax Romana. Lasted for hundreds of years, which means you don't start nothing, there won't be nothing, as Carlos likes to say. So, keep the peace. No insurrections, no riots, no demonstrations, no protests. So, we're just all going to be calm, and like it or not, you got to stay calm. And so, it was to keep everybody calm that they didn't want somebody jumping up and saying, hey, I'm the new leader, King of the Jews. And so that turned out to be the reason he was there, because they were accusing him of this blasphemy. Actually, they were much more concerned. The Pharisees that drove this thing were really concerned that he was blaspheming against God. But as we know now, that's totally impossible, right? He is God. He can't blaspheme against God because he is God. So that's what we realize now. That's how we read it now. But this idea of Jesus being the king, that leads into our story today. One of the criminals, verse 39 says, one of the criminals who was hanged blasphemed him, saying, if you are the Christ, save yourself and us. We've heard this phrase before, haven't we? If you are the Christ. Have you heard that phrase before? You remember that happening in our story, in the Jesus story earlier? Like the beginning of the Jesus story, Jesus goes out and he's tempted. The Satan comes up to him and says, if you are the Christ, turn the stone into bread. If you are the Christ, hop off the roof here. If you are the... And he starts his things like that. That's a different way of speaking. When the devil said it, the devil had no question in his mind that Jesus was the Christ. He wasn't mocking Jesus. He was admitting that Jesus is the Christ. We can read it, since you're the Son of God, since you are the Christ, turn this stone into bread. Since you are the Son of God, then you can hop off this roof and angels will take care of you. Since I know that you are the Christ. This guy, however, he was absolutely making fun of Jesus. Yeah, he was taking part of the crowd. The rest of the crowd was saying that. They were looking up to him and saying, he saved others, he can't even save himself. That's too bad. And this criminal next to Jesus joins in with the crowd saying, if you're the Christ, why don't you get us out of here? Yeah, just like I thought. Right? Jesus, you're good for nothing. You can't even get us off of these crosses here. Making fun of Jesus. Have you ever met anybody that thinks this Jesus stuff is just good for nothing? Just doesn't do anything for you, that you want to wear your jewelry around and you want to put fish on your car and stuff. Well, it's just good for nothing. Doesn't do any good to anybody at all. You're just wasting your time, wasting your money, and you're ignoring all the real problems in life. That's what this guy on the left was doing on one side. Mocking Jesus, blaspheming Jesus, and if you're the Christ, save yourself and us. Yeah, prove it. Yeah, if you're the Christ, why don't you prove it? That's what he was saying. Now the other guy on the other side kind of leaned his head forward. Can you imagine having to prop your head forward to look past Jesus to see this other guy? Looking over to that first robber, he says, don't you even fear God, seeing that you're under the same condemnation? In other words, and we indeed justly, for we receive the due reward of our deeds, but this man has done nothing wrong. So he's propping his head over, and he's hanging on the cross dying, being executed, saying to that other guy, why don't you shut up? You're over there, you're hanging on a cross too. You don't have any room to speak, you know it? Why don't you just leave him alone? You're not any better off than he is, or I am. You and I deserve to be here, but this guy doesn't. That's right. Well, he said to Jesus, Lord, remember me when you come into your kingdom. How about that? When they put on the inscription on the top of his cross, King of the Jews, they wrote it as a crime. This guy took it for the truth that it is, King of the Jews. He is the king. I'm getting it. So as he's speaking, he is, first of all, he's confessing that that other guy and he deserved to die. We're here because what's written on top of our head is the truth. Murderer, thief, criminals. We're here because we deserve to be here. Jesus is innocent. So he is making, first of all, an expression of his own guilt. Lord, I'm guilty. Jesus, I'm guilty. I deserve this. That other guy over there, he deserves it. But Jesus, I know you don't. I know that you're innocent. You don't deserve it. You're hanging on this cross for something that's not even a crime. You are totally innocent. And by the way, Jesus' innocence is a matter of record. It's a matter of court record. He was put on trial over and over and over again. And at every place that he was put on trial, the gavel sounded and he was innocent of all the charges. They kept saying he was innocent, so finally Jesus had to help him along. Say, yes, I'm the Son of God. Yes, it's me, and he helped them along, so they finally put him on the cross. And he knew that that was what the end was. He knew that this was where he was going, where the whole procedure was going. He's there on purpose, remember? He's there for this purpose. Well, the guy confesses, first of all, his own guilt to Jesus. He also makes a statement of faith about Jesus. You are innocent, and you are the king. What it says on top of my cross, criminal, that's true. What it says on top of your cross, King of the Jews, that's also true. Lord, I believe that you are the king. And when you come into that kingdom, please remember me. It's a statement of faith. It's a confession of guilt. And it's a prayer asking for Jesus' help. How about that? Statement of faith, confession of guilt, and a prayer to Jesus. All wrapped up in there. And Jesus said, assuredly, I say to you, today you will be with me in paradise. Wow. Now this is that answer to the universal question there that everybody wants to know. Is there something going on after we take our last breath here? After this is over, is there something else ahead? Well, the answer is yes. But people have been wondering this, and we've known all the time. People have always known, yeah, there's something else. See, way back at the beginning, there's this story of Enoch. Enoch, it says in the Bible, very little. It says very little. Enoch walked with God, and he was not. That's all it says. He's gone. So where's his body? There's no body. Enoch becomes one of two people in the whole history of humanity that is translated straight to heaven without a physical death. Okay? And he's just walking with God, and then he's not there anymore. They didn't say he passed away. He died. They knew about death. Ever since Adam and Eve, they had heard this word death, and they had seen it played out a couple of times. But then Enoch, he's gone. He just didn't come home that day. Well, where is he? So after Enoch, everybody in the world knew there's a place that you go after you're dead, after this world. There is something after this world, and it's someplace else, not here. That's all that they knew. Throughout the years of history, throughout the Bible, we get a fuller picture. It's kind of, and you remember going to the eye doctor, and they put the big black two-tone things on there, and then they go click, is that better? Click, is that better? Click, is that, and they just kind of keep clicking, and it gets more and more clear, more and more clear. That's kind of like when we're reading some of these concepts throughout the Bible. Back in Genesis here at the beginning with Enoch, it's still pretty fuzzy. There's some place that's not here that Enoch is living. We don't know where. So as we go through the years, we get a little bit more information. It gets another click. It gets a little clearer. We have this story where David has a baby that's born from he and Bathsheba. God is saying, I'm going to take this baby. And David is praying over and over and over again, continually fasting and praying. And then, when the baby dies, David says, I will go to him, but he's not going to come back to me. So at that point, now we know, not only is it a place, it's a place where we can be reunited with someone else that is already gone. They even had that phrase that comes through how they spoke about death. They called it gathered to his father's kin. That means the people that have gone before in my family, I'm going to where they are. So now we know it's not just a place, it's a place where people continue to exist and where we can be reunited with others that have gone on. And then, when we get to, say, the book of Psalms, we open up the book of Psalms and read that first psalm. Now we know that there's that place where people go when they pass is kind of got two areas. They just called it, in the Old Testament, they just called it Sheol, or the pit. It's just the place where dead people go. But we start to see that, yeah, the picture's getting clearer. There's a good part and a bad part. Okay? Remember, the righteous is going to be like a tree planted by the rivers of water. It brings forth fruit in its season. Whatever he does will prosper. His leaf also will not wither. And whatever he does will prosper. The wicked are not so. They're going to be like the chaff, which the wind drives away. Therefore, the ungodly will not stand in the judgment. Ooh, there's judgment. But the Lord knows the way of the righteous. But the way of the ungodly will perish. So there's a division now. So as we approach the end of the Old Testament, going into the New Testament, there's a period of silence. There's about 400 years where they don't get any new information. They're just sitting in the chair waiting for the guy to come back and click that picture into clearer motion. And so they began to come up with some nicknames for those places. The nickname for the part of the place of the dead for the righteous, for the people that are holy, that have part of God's family that have passed on, they get to calling that a couple of different things. One thing that they call it is Abraham's bosom. Okay? And we see that in the story of Lazarus and the rich man. The rich man and Lazarus. And as both of them pass, Lazarus passes and he is in Abraham's bosom. So the picture gets a little bit clearer. It's a comforting place. After Enoch, we know it's a place. After David, we know it's a place of continued existence where we are reunited with others. And then when we hear it called called Abraham's bosom, we know it's a place of comfort. It's a good place. It's a happy place. And the other nickname that it goes by is paradise. So Jesus says, today you will be with me in paradise. So don't ever let somebody say that, well, when you die, that's it. There's no more and it's just nothingness. That's a hard-hearted answer to somebody that's decided that God stuff, that can't be real. All that Jesus stuff, it's just worthless, it's a waste of time, and that's invented by people like that first criminal. It says, mocking Jesus. Yeah, Jesus, you're not good for anything. Can't even get us off of these crosses. That's the people who say, well, after death is just nothing. Annihilation. In a split second, they're going to realize how wrong they are. Absolutely. Nor do we need to fall into this idea that when a person dies, they're just kind of on ice until later. Maybe a soul asleep or something like that. No, it's an instant thing that happens at that point of death. Now you are in the presence of Christ. Paul said, for me to be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. One and the same thing. There's no in-between. There's no waiting place that you go and just camp out until something else happens. There's no extra steps that you got to take moving all the way up from one place to another. You can't get across. You can't go from one place to the other. All we know is it's paradise. When you belong to Jesus, it is an instant thing. To be absent from the body is to be present with the Lord. And we have a couple of other references to this in 2 Corinthians 12, 3 and 4. Paul recounts a story where he had a vision, and where he had this vision of being in heaven. And he says, I was caught up into this. And he called it the paradise. So this word paradise happens again there in 2 Corinthians 12. And it also happens, as we remember from the letters to the churches in Ephesus, the church in Ephesus from Revelation. He said, those that overcome, I will grant to eat from the tree of life. Remember what that tree of life is? Garden of Eden? Shows up again in Revelation. I will grant to them to eat of that tree of life, which is in the paradise of God. So we have this idea all the way from Matthew, all of Luke, all the way down into Revelation, that being with God, once we leave this body, is a paradise. So, that's it. Plain and simple. Instantaneous into the presence of Jesus. Now, the question comes, though, when we think about, well, what about, there's a resurrection, right? There's a second coming. We've heard about those. How do those fit in? And we know that the shell is still here. The body is still here. Not like Enoch or Elijah, that there is no remains. So, how does it work then? Well, the way it works is that, according to Thessalonians, Jesus is going to come back. And he's going to come back, and he's going to pick up everybody that's still here and still alive, and the dead in Christ will rise first. So there is a resurrection that's going to happen, and whatever right now is paradise, is heaven, is going to get better. It's going to come into a new stage or a new phase. So that's going to get better, but also at that second coming, when Jesus comes back again, he's not coming back as a baby like he came first time. He's not going to be coming back into a manger, into a small town, and only a couple of people notice, a few shepherds and a few wise men. No. When he comes back again, everybody's going to notice. There's going to be God's trumpet blowing. There's going to be dead people walking around. There's going to be people meeting in the air. Everybody is going to know that Jesus has returned. There's going to be a judgment. So right now, there's heaven and hell. And after that second coming, heaven gets better, and hell gets worse. That's right. Everything gets wrapped up. Well, the statement here, today you will be with me in paradise. It's because that criminal made that confession of faith, made that statement of guilt, and made the prayer asking for Jesus' help. Now, this is the way God designed it. Did you realize that wherever you spend eternity is going to be governed by you saying stuff right now? The things that you say right now. You can say what this criminal said, and that will affect forever. Right? According to the Old Testament, Joel, the prophet, everyone who calls on the name of the Lord will be saved. Simple as that. That's also restated in Romans. Paul said that. If you call on the name of the Lord, you'll be saved. It's easy. All you have to do is what this criminal did. You say, Jesus, I know I'm guilty. And I know you're not. And I know you're going to be the king. Can I get in on that? Can you remember me when you come into your kingdom? A statement of faith. Call on the name of the Lord, and that's it. With your mouth, tell Jesus that you want to be part of his kingdom. You know you're guilty, you know he's innocent, and he is the king. Let his sacrifice cover your sin, and then it's a done deal. This is a promise. Jesus says, today you will be with me in paradise. And Jesus can speak definitively in the future tense. You will be with me. You know how? Because he's God, and God knows the future. God can look back on the future that we're looking forward to. And so he can say with absolute certainty, you will be with me in paradise. You will. It's going to happen. Because from his perspective, it's done. He can look back on it. The last thing we need to look at is how Jesus starts that sentence. Today, you will be with me in paradise. Today. He didn't say, well, get back to me tomorrow. He wasn't hanging there saying, well, you know, my calendar's kind of full right now. Let me see if I can make some time for you next week. When you call on the name of the Lord, it's going to be today. And you can't tell Jesus, well, I'm kind of full also. How about we get together next week? You may not be here next week. Right? How much time left did that criminal have? He didn't have another day. He didn't have another week. He didn't have to wait till he cleaned up some things in his life and then he didn't feel so bad about asking Jesus for help. No. He was there totally exposed, totally guilty, hanging there, didn't have but hours to live, and yet that's how he approached Jesus. That's how we got to do it. Don't put off till tomorrow what is going to make a difference for now and forever. Make that decision today. Say, Jesus, I'm ready for you to be my Savior right now. Let's pray. Jesus, we ask you to speak to our hearts this morning. Let us know that if we have something we need to confess to you, we should confess it. If we have something that we need to beg you for, we need to beg it. If we need to call upon you for salvation, bring that to our heart and to our mind right now so that we don't put off at all our need to call upon you. We thank you so much for the promise, the absolute guarantee that we will be able to spend forever in your presence. We trust so hard in this. We depend upon it so fully. They say we're just delighted to be able to express to you. In your name we pray. Amen.